A very warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to the sixth edition of the Heritage Insights webinar series. It is truly a pleasure to see such enthusiastic participation for a platform that is close to our hearts, a platform that month after month celebrates the depth, diversity, and vibrancy of our cultural fabric. Heritage Insights is much more than a webinar series. It is a journey through the many narratives that shape our collective identity. Each session serves as a tapestry, weaving together stories of history, traditional arts, crafts, and the invaluable practices of conservation. At the same time, it reflects on the ways these elements continue to influence and find relevance in contemporary architectural thought and practice. This initiative stands as a proud collaboration. Just sorry. Sorry. This initiative stands as a proud collaboration between the BMS School of Architecture and the CRDS Foundation, united by a shared passion. Hello. United by a shared passion for heritage and sustainability, we have envisioned this series as a dynamic forum where knowledge is not only shared but also co-created. It is an open space where faculty, early career researchers, doctoral scholars, postgraduate students and professionals from various disciplines, architecture, history, urban studies, and the arts come together to exchange ideas, broaden perspectives, and spark meaningful conversations. We are deeply grateful to each one of you joining us on this journey. Your presence and active engagement are immense value to this dialogue, and we eagerly look forward to the thought-provoking discussions that today's session will unfold. It gives me a great privilege to first introduce Dr. Shaila Bantanur, the esteemed director of BMSSA. A distinguished academician and practitioner, Dr. Bantanur holds a doctorate from the prestigious IIT Roorkee and brings with her over 2 decades of excellence in teaching, research, and architectural practices. Her contributions to the field include numerous acclaimed publications in both national and international journals. She currently spearheads 2 international collaborations with the University of Notre Dame, USA, and Kathmandu University, Nepal. A recipient of the Intact UK Scholarship Award and the Intact Merit Award, Dr. Bantanur is a passionate advocate for bridging academia with industry and society. Her leadership has been instrumental in launching impactful initiatives at BMSSA, including the Research Dialogue Series, the Knowledge Series, and most notably the Heritage Insight Series itself. Although Dr. Bantanur is unable to join us today due to her prior commitments, we are honored to acknowledge her vision and contribution to this series, which continues to inspire all of us. It is with equal pride and pleasure now that I introduce architect Shobha Narendra Kumar, an accomplished architect and urban planner with over 25 years of professional experience. She is the founder of IPAC, a renowned multidisciplinary architectural firm based in Bangalore, a distinguished alumna of IIM, and a celebrated woman entrepreneur. Architect Shobha is known for her deep-rooted commitment to India's built heritage, particularly that of Karnataka. Her passion for preserving and promoting India's cultural heritage led to the founding of CRDS Foundation, which focuses on heritage conservation and the creation of sustainable living environments. As the visionary behind the Center for Research and Development on Sustainability for Life, CRDS, she continues to lead efforts that uncover Karnataka's hidden cultural assets while advocating for sustainability and intergenerational equity. We are honored to have her with us today, and I now invite architect Shobha Narendra Kumar to share her insights.
Thank you, Abhirami, for the kind introduction. Warm greetings to everyone, and thanks to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Surya Roy. We are glad to have you here for our enlightening and engaging session here. And thanks to all the participants who are being part of this and who are gathered to know more about Jagannath culture through Mr. Surya Roy. And thanks to BMS IT for the fantastic collaborations we are having, and we are bringing in a lot of good, insightful discussions on heritage structures. And let me just do a little brief introduction about CRDS Foundation here. CRDS Foundation is a NGO which is based out of Bangalore. And the main objective of CRDS Foundation is about preserving, protecting, and promoting the heritage structures in India, and also in we are doing a lot of works in Karnataka as well. And we are putting small attempts to bring in the culture and the heritage, and we want to carry all these things to the next generation. So happy to see our CRDS Foundation growing in numbers, events, activities, and we are having a lot of volunteers and also members who are bringing in a lot of value additions to our organizations. So, without taking much of time, let me welcome Mr. Surya Roy. So, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you. So, shall I start, Abhijami?
Just a small introduction about you, sir.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It is with great pleasure that I introduce today's guest speaker, Mr. Surya Sarathi Roy, a distinguished technologist, cultural heritage conservationist, researcher, and an explorer of Indian history. An author and historian, his research spans across the cultural and historical landscapes of Braj Mandal, Kurukshetra, Kalinga, and Shri Jagannath traditions, as well as the heritage of Mewar and the Marathas. Hailing from a family of revolutionaries, Mr. Roy is also a keen student of archaeology, deeply involved in the enlistment of heritage sites and the conservation of ancient manuscripts. He is a life member and researcher with INTAC and the Numismatic Society of India at Banaras Hindu University, as well as an associate member of ICOMOS, the UNESCO body for the conservation of archaeological sites worldwide. Currently, he serves as the Director of North India Operations of IHAR, Indian History Awareness and Research, a Houston based NGO committed to conserving India's cultural heritage and traditional knowledge systems. Notably, he was appointed as a desk reviewer for the UNESCO World Heritage Committee for the year 2023 and 2025, contributing to global heritage conservation efforts. He has also recently featured in a 48-minute documentary released by the Ministry of Culture and directed by IGNCA titled Yamuna and Braj Mandal, which showcases his research on the influence of the Yamuna River and Braj culture. Today, he will take us on an enlightening journey through the topic Understanding the Shri Jagannath Culture, a Glorious Legacy, offering us a deeper insight into the spiritual, historical, and cultural dimensions of this remarkable tradition. Thank you. You can.
Thank you, and namaste, and Jai Jagannath to all of you, and a sincere thanks to the BMS School of Architecture and CRDA for organizing these kind of sessions. In fact, I was one of the participants in one of the earlier sessions, and that's when I came to know about this initiative, and I reached out to all of you. Unable to hear the audio, okay. So is it now audible? Am I now audible?
You are audible, sir.
Okay. Some of the participants are saying not audible. Okay. Shobhaji, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you can hear. I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Okay. So thank you for all these initiatives through CRTA and the BMS School of Architecture. Sincerely appreciated. And without wasting any time, let me now get into the slides. And is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah, so today we will discuss on the Sri Jagannath culture, and to be very honest, this is a subject which is so vast that in order to cover them in one episode or a session, it's virtually impossible. So what I have done is to give you the if somebody is not talking, please go on mute.
Somebody is on Sujata, ma'am.
Sorry, sir.
So if, today what I will try to give you a large contour of the entire Sri Jagannath culture, what it exists today. And before I get into the details of it, let me tell you today the Sri Jagannath culture, the way it stands, it is an amalgamation of the Vaishnav Tattva, the Shaiva Tattva, the Shakti Tattva, the Sikhism, the Jainism, Buddhism, or even the tribal culture. So it has got an enigmatic appeal and with lot of legends and myths associated with it from time immemorial. And that is why there is so much of curiosity about this subject always, amongst the scholars, amongst the heritage enthusiasts, or even the devotees for that matter. So as you can see, Orissa or the Old Pradesh finds it mentioned, it's mentioned as the Old Pradesh in Rig Veda, where it is also mentioned as Sri Purushottam, and finds mention in the Purusa Sukta. So I will come a little later on how the Purusa Sukta is related to Sri Jagannath and Purushottam. And over the ages, from centuries together, the Uttar Pradesh, in all its geographical divisions that have been there, has been known by different names from Kalinga, Ukkal, Utkal, Toshali, Konagada, Hirakanda, Mahakantara, and some more names. And this is primarily because the entire state that we see today was divided into various pockets, and each tribes or kings, ruling over any of those sub-regions. So the real amalgamation of Orissa actually happened primarily at the time of the Eastern Ganga dynasty in the early 12th century, when Anantavarman Choragangadev, the founder of the imperial Gangas, actually laid his foot over there and kind of ensured that everyone is brought together. The Kalinga region or the Utkal region, as you say, has been primarily, as I said, has come into the foray with a unified approach from the Eastern Gangas, but earlier it was ruled by many other dynasties, uh, mostly the Somvanshis, the Bhaumakaras, the Guptas for that matter, and of course later on by the Bhoi dynasty or even the Marathas for a short while. There have been other dynasties, but I will not get into that history because that's not our whole purpose today. And finally, Kalinga as a region also finds its mention in the Skanda Puran, the Padma Puran, Rig Veda, I touched upon Brahmanda Puran, Vamdev Samhita, Kapil Samhita, Niladri Mahodaya. It should be Niladri Mahodaya. So there is a typo there. Okay, now Sri Kshetra, one of their many names of Jagannath Puri or the Sri Purushottam Kshetra. It is known primarily by Purushottam Kshetra or Sri Kshetra. The term Sri Kshetra comes from Devi Lakshmi or the Shakti component of Sri Vishnu, where she is associated with Purushottam Kshetra, and that is why it is always mentioned. And Sri Kshetra also it is mentioned, and Sri Mandir. Everywhere, whatever you see any special terms, it is always a Shri is attached to it to signify the importance of Mata Lakshmi into the culture primarily. It currently spreads over 128 kilometers, where it is surrounded by the golden sands of Mahodadi, which is the ocean, the Bay of Bengal, or the Kalinga Sagar that we know of today. It is described primarily in two portions of Utkal Khanda, the history basically, the Puranic Itihasa, I would say, in the Utkal Khanda of Skanda Puran and Niladri Mahodaya. And the beauty, as you can see, the Purushottam Kshetra is divided into four parts. The Shankha Kshetra, the conch, basically the four weapons of Sri Vishnu, the Shankha Kshetra, which is Puri, Konark, which is the Padma Kshetra, Bhubaneswar, which is the Chakra Kshetra, or Sudarshan, and Jajpur, the Gada Kshetra. Now, interestingly, Bhubaneswar is also known as Ekamra Kshetra because uh, it is got a very high density of Shiva temples, and it is considered as the Gupta Kashi also. The Vindhu Sagar, which is there inside the Bhubaneswar city, is one of the prime spots from which the Shaiva concept spreads into the region. And before the, I would say the glorification of Jagannath culture, which started, it was also known as Shaiva and a Shakti Kshetra, and the earlier dynasties prior to Imperial Gangas, they were, good, they were primarily I would say, practicing the Shaiva and the Shakti Tattva, of course, they were later on also coming into picture for mother worship, which we will touch in detail. But that's why I said that it is the subject is very vast and very complex at times and intertwined, and that's why I will try to give you at least the basic understanding of how the culture looks like today. Kendrapada, which is one of the key districts of Odisha, is also known as the Tulasi Kshetra. And the importance of this Kshetra was first and foremost time from our religious prachar or reinforcement was done by Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya when he reached Jagannath Puri and established the Govardhan Peeth or the first Shankaracharya Mutt beyond Kaladi and Sringeri. This was the first mutt to come up, so that's why it is very important also. And the geographical limits of this mutt, Govardhan Mutt or the Shankaracharya Mutt, extends up to Prayagraj. So last year when we were witnessing, early this year when we were witnessing the Mahakumbh, Prayagraj did come under the purview of Govardhan Mutt. Then it was Sri Ramanujacharya in the early 12th century who came in, and also you will find a Ramanuj Tilak on the Kalash of the temple and laid down certain rules. And then, of course, it became famous and it reached a cult status under the patronage of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Bharati, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during the Bhakti movement between 15th and 16th century. Now, let me give you a quick architectural synopsis of how the temple stands today. So, in the diagram, I will go stepwise so that it is easier for you to understand. So, this is the Garbhagriha or the Sanctum Sanctorium. We also call it the Vimana or Deul. This is the Jagmohan or the frontal porch or the Mukhashala where we have darshan today. So, today, whenever devotees go, they have darshan from this portion. Earlier, devotees were allowed inside the sanctum, but from 2016, under the order of the Odisha High Court, it stopped. Then this is the Natamandap, and then Natamandap darshans are also happening today. And then finally, the Bhoga Mandap. Now, it is to be remembered here, let me just activate the pointer a bit. So now what is important here, this Natamandap, it has the Garud Sthambh. And here, somewhere here, it is the Garud Sthambh is here, somewhere here. And from the Garud Sthambh to this Singhasan or the seat of Shri Jagannath, which is here, the Nepal royal family had donated 1,000 Shaligram Shilas, Gandaki Shilas or Narayan Shilas. So these are, existent in the base of this portion. So that is one of the reason why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never used to step beyond the Garustam. And then the architecture per se, it is a Rekhadevi style, fully developed specimen of Kalingan temple architecture, which is a mix of Indian Nagara style, which is in the north, and the Kalingan style. That is how the Kalingan style evolved. And maybe sometime later we can get into the details in another session on the Kalingan temple architecture. It was also known as the White Pagoda because of its lime paste. Now, this lime paste was put in place for the purpose of preventing the salinity of the sea to eat into the temple architecture or the body. Unfortunately, it was removed in the early 80s, if I correctly remember, by the Archaeological Survey of India. And ever since that time, there have been constant, architectural works, conservation works going on. And as long as the paste was there, it was not impacting so much. And the Konark Sun Temple was known as the Black Pagoda because of its color. And the Jagannath Temple was given the name of the White Pagoda because both these names were given by the European seafarers who used to use them as major landmarks who while crossing the coastlines. The temple is built of Khondalite stones. That's why it's very strong in its foundation as well as in the architecture. And this is also one of the primary reasons that why this temple is still intact after some close to 900 years now. And the Konark Sun Temple has fallen compared to that, because the Konark was nearer to the sea, but it was also built up from a combination of condylite stones, laterite stones, and black chlorite stones. So condylite stones are extremely robust, and the strength is very high actually. And some of the sculptures which are notably placed in the temple after recovery, some bit were placed by the Maratha rulers and some bit by the local Khurda kings. And these include the topmost thing include the Garur Stham, sorry, the Arun Stham, which you stand over here. So this was earlier not there in the original architecture of the temple, and this was brought and placed here by the Marathas. And here, I would also like to say that when the temple was, commissioned to the public somewhere between 1230 to 1240 CE by Anyanka Bhima or Ananga Bhimdev III, the grandson of Anantavarman Choraganga Dev, these two structures were there. Both the Nata Mandap and the Bhoga Mandap were later additions by the Gajapati dynasties, who were the rulers post the Gangas. And this one, the Nata Mandap, was built by Raja Purushottam Dev, Gajapati Purushottam Dev, and the Bhoga Mandap was by Gajapati Pratapruti Dev. Now, coming to the insights, a little more details, as I'm sure many of you have, by virtue of the reels and podcasts and many other sessions that people keep sharing, have are aware of some of it, popularly known as the Jagannath Dham, one of the Char Dhams of Bharatvarsh, where Krishna is has his food today. So Jagannath Dham is the place where Sri Krishna in Kali Yuga eats. Rameshwaram, he baths. In Dwarka, he does a Shringar, and in Badri, he sleeps. The shrine, the 12th century shrine, the construction was started by Anantavarman Choraganga Dev and commissioned by Anyanka Bhima or Ananga Bhimdev III. And as I mentioned, addition by subsequent Gajapatis and bit by Marathas. Now, what is important here to understand that this structure, this one, these two structures that you see today, and I told was commissioned in 1237, 40, or 1230, sometime around that. Scholars keep differing amongst themselves. There was a temple earlier to that, which still stands today, and it is there within the precincts of this current temple. And there are epigraphic evidences, and to prove this point, inscriptions, copper plate inscription, temple wall inscriptions are there to prove this point. And this structure even stands today, which was built by the Somavanshis in the 9th century. And it is also coming out from the epigraphic inscriptions that the Somavanshis had actually built this temple of Madhav, or Nila Madhav for that matter, around 6th century. But the remnants of that temple is not found today, but epigraphic evidences do point to that fact. The mother worship, I would say, can you please go on mute if somebody is not talking?
Any confusion? Call Deepa also if needed. 1,53,000 is what is coming for 4-star. And
Yeah, I'm just
flight
checking it out.
160 something.
161,000
I couldn't.
160, 320. 1 lakh.
Mr. Saurabh, can you?
I was.
I think it's muted.
Yes, ma'am.
No, you were on.
No, we just-
Was I audible?
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Okay, so yeah. So basically, now what we need to understand is mother worship was primarily prevalent as per archaeological finds, excavations, in epigraphic and numismatic proofs that have come out. Mother worship was primarily popular around the Mahanadi belt, and even today there are many Madhav temples in various forms that is there in the Mahanadi Valley, in forms of 3 forms of Madhav that is worshipped even today from those earliest times: Nil Madhav, Lalit Madhav, and Radha Madhav. Amongst them, Nil Madhav is the deity which finds its mention in the Skanda Purana Utkal Parva, from where Shri Jagannath emerges, and that is why you will also find a Nilamadhav temple within the premises of this current Jagannath temple today. The temple technically is called Shri Mandir, and again, as you can see, Shri, Lakshmi's, Mata Lakshmi's presence is well known, and the kitchen, it is believed, is under the control of Mata Lakshmi. So whatever is getting cooked, the Mahaprasad that gets cooked, it is actually Shri Mata Lakshmi's blessings and her hand that is there, which is taking care of it. The Rath Yatra is the Gundicha Yatra that is called, is the most popular festival. There are other festivals also, like the Holi, the Pavali, everything, all of them, or the Krishna Janmashtami, they're all celebrated, or even the Navratras. And the temple town of Puri, now this portion is very important. Now, the temple town of Puri, when somebody goes on a pilgrimage, the Shastras and Puranas indicate that they should have a dip in all these 5 water bodies, which is the Indradumna Sarovar, the Narendra Sarovar, the Markandeya Sarovar, the Shweta Ganga, and the Mahodadi, or the Bay of Bengal, or popularly known as the Kalinga Sagar. Shri Kshetra is the land of Mahadodhi and Mahanadi. So Mahadodhi, or the Bay of Bengal, plays a very important role along with Mahanadi, and that is why Madhav worship along Mahanadi is something that I called out. And even today, the Govardhan Peeth has taken the responsibility of doing a Mahadodhi Sandhya Aarti every day. That happens, and anybody visiting Puri can have a darshan of that. And this Aarti is done very beautifully. So if you are in Puri, do have a darshan of that. The geographical or the Puranic references, Puranic geographical references covers that it is to be a Shanka Kshetra. Puri is a Shanka Kshetra, which I demonstrated in my earlier slides. And it is on a 5 kos of land, of which 2 kos is the landmass, or the Puri town as it stands today, and 3 kos is under the ocean. The archaeological highlights of this temple is, as you can see, it is spread across 4 lakh square feet, surrounded by 2 fortified walls of Kurma Bera. The internal wall is called Kurma Bera. The outside boundary wall is called the Meghnad Prachir. So this is the Meghnad Prachir. There is another wall somewhere here which doesn't come out from the painting, is called Kurma Bera. This picture is somewhere around 1805. It was drawn by one British painter, signifies famines of Orissa actually. So, and the Meghnad Prachir, again, it was built by Gajapati Kapilendra Dev Rautre to protect the temple from the invaders. So this structure, obviously, that you see today comes at a much later date. And he's also the same king who gave 16 elephant loads of jewelry after he came back from the south, from his Deccan campaign, and commemorating the victory. He did many things. So this is one of the things. There are approximately 120 small temples inside this complex. The Arun Stamba, this one that I showcased to you, was placed by the Marathas in 18th century. Shaligram Shilas, I told you people. And the Nepal royal family is a family today which has, apart from the Orissa's Gajapati king or the titular king, has the only privilege of getting and ascending on the royal throne of Mahaprabhu and doing an arti, or getting or having an access to do many riti nitis or be a part of many riti nitis. So Nepal royal family is a special access that they have because of their continuous contributions. And it is just not this 1,000 Shaligram Shilas that they give, but even today for their yearly seva, they do give many other stuff which is required for daily riti nitis, of which the fragrance that is called as which comes from the navel of the deer, that is also given by them. The Sun Temple inside Sri Mandir houses many Utsav deities from Konark Sun Temple. Now, this point is very important. There is a Sun Temple inside the Sri Mandir today, okay? And this Sun Temple, if you go and have a visit, the deities over there are Utsav Vigrahas of the Konark Sun Temple. So these were again, some bit of it was bought by the Marathas, some bit of it was bought by the Khurda king and placed inside this temple to save it from desecration or looting by the Britishers. And it is believed, although it is not proven, it is believed one of these deities, which is the, the key deity which is worshipped inside this temple, was believed of by it was made by Samba or son of Sri Krishna, or it was acquired by Samba from the Chandrabhaga river. The Bhoga Mandap, as I earlier shared with you, so this is in this picture. This is the Bhoga Mandap, which is the first, as you enter the temple from here, the first structure has sculptures from the earlier Somavanshi temple and Konark temples fitted around it. And these sculptures or iconography that we can see gives us a fair understanding of the socio-cultural standings that was prevalent at those times. And it also acts as a very, it gives a very vital clue to the Kalingan maritime trade as well. There are certain iconographies which gives vital clues on Kalingan maritime trade. Now coming to the biggest festival, the Rath Yatra. In the ancient times, there were 6 pair of chariots that were made because there was a river intersecting the main path. So the deities, the 4 deities used to come by one set of chariot, cross the river on a boat, and then alight on the next set of chariots. So 6 chariots used to be built, but after this was geographically addressed and the land masses joined in, the deities now have 3 chariots to it. And the name of Shri Jagannath's chariot is Nandi Ghosh, Subhadra Mata's chariot is Dwarpadalan, and Shri Balaram or Baldev's chariot is Taladhwaj. The chariots, the distance between the Shri Mandir and the Shri Gundicha temple is 3.5 kilometers, which is pulled by the devotees and securities and through the Paradanda or the Grand Road that you see today. So all these videos that are there available, you can see the chariot is being pulled on the Grand Road, which is also the Paradanda. It is an 11-day festival. And let me tell you here, as Sri Jagannath is the only deity, only original deity which comes out from the Sanctum Sanctorium in Bharatvarsh to give darshan to his devotees. There is a deep connotation to it, actually. Now, since only Hindus and Sikhs are allowed inside the temple, so Jagannath culture, as I said at the beginning, is an amalgamation of many tattvas, including the Sabar tattva or the tribal tattva, where Jagannath is also worshipped as a Vriksha Devta by the name of Kitung, a totem, basically. Now, having said that, let me just sign like the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavism tattva or the Vaishnav tattva recognizes Sri Jagannath as Sri Krishna and Balabhadra and Devi Subhadra. But the Shakti tattva recognizes Sri Jagannath as Dakshina Kali, Bala Thakura or Balaram as Ugra Tara, and Subhadra as Bhairav. Similarly, the Shaktas or the Upasaks of Mahadev, they see the Bhairav inside them and they do the worship of Bhairav in Sri Jagannath. The Buddhists consider Jagannath as Buddha because the Brahma Padarth, which is inside the body of Sri Jagannath, which is believed to be Krishna's heart as per popular reels and popular podcasts by many, many people who are uninformed what it scripturally means. But I will not get into those details right now. But the Buddhists consider that Brahma Padarth as Buddha's tooth relic. The Jains, they consider Sri Jagannath as their Tirthankara Rishabhnath, and the Sabars or the tribals, I told you, they worship him as Varikshedavata Kitim. But yes, and that is how the cult or the enigma or the legends which are associated with Sri Jagannath culture today are huge, and that actually contributes into the enigmatic or very legendary, image of Sri Jagannath and with all these stories and that resides in the oral traditions of Sri Jagannath today in that form. The Ratha Khala or the art of making the chariot. So this is Baradanda, that is that you can see. It starts from here and goes to the Gundicha temple. This is the chariot's wheel with the axle, and this is one of the Bhoi Maharanas, or the people who are working as the architects of the chariot. And this chariot engineering, has been something which has been, uh, I would say, a living example today, one of the few living examples today of the Guru Shishya Parampara, which has been the bedrock of our civilization, and where there is no written SOP, but the technology is passed on from generation to generation, from father to son. The construction of this chariot starts on the Akshaya Tritiya day, and the chariot resembles with 26 joints. Consider the resemblance with the human body, with Sri Jagannath as the Paramatma sitting inside it, just like our Atma, and that signifies the connection of Atma's connection to Paramatma. And post closure of the Rath Yatra, and the chariots are disintegrated, and the logs are utilized for making or cooking of Mahaprasad in the Sri Mandir kitchen, while the wheel, which is this part, that is being auctioned by the Sri Jagannath Temple Association. So the temple today, in terms of its day-to-day administration, in terms of festivities, or even the daily Riti Nitis, that is administered by the Sri Jagannath Temple administration, headed by an IS officer, and ruled under the Sri Jagannath Temple Act of 1960. Then comes the sacred Mahaprasad, and Mahaprasad is actually a prasad when it is offered to Jagannath. But after it is offered to Jagannath, it is also offered to Ma Bimla or Devi Durga or Yogamaya, which is the Satipit, which is present today inside the temple at the backyard, right-hand corner, sorry, the left-hand corner of Sri Jagannath in the backyard. And that's how it becomes a Mahaprasad, and anybody can partake Mahaprasad, and there is no reservation in terms of caste, creed, religion on Mahaprasad. And if I have eaten part of it, anyone can come and partake the prasad from me also, in whatever form it is existing at that point of time. And as per Skanda Puran Utkal Parva, during Dwapar Yuga, Sri Krishna and Arjun had visited Sri Kshetra and had consumed Mahaprasad. The area within the Sri Mandir which sells Mahaprasad is called Ananda Bazar. And whenever you go inside the temple and you visit the Ananda Bazar and you have the Mahaprasad sitting over there, you will experience a separate ecstasy, actually. And that's unthinkable, actually, that enjoy, the feeling, the Satchidananda feeling that you get. It's inexplicable, surreal, actually. Sri Jagannath Temple, that the mainstream history that doesn't capture today, experienced 18 invasions, and these invasions primarily came from three kingdoms: the Mughal Sultanate, the Bengal Sultanate, and the Delhi Sultanate. And you can see in the screen some of the names, or all the names, who had laid siege on this temple, of which I would say the attack of 1568, this one, was the most devastating. Devastating in the sense that all other attacks that happened, invasions that happened, that it was primarily targeted to loot the treasury, the famed Ratna Bhandar, the legendary Ratna Bhandar. And but Kala Pahar was the Sikandar Patriko, or the the destroyer of temples of East, like someone in North, or like Aurangzeb for that matter. And he inflicted the maximum damage on the temple architecture. But as you can see, some of the names will raise your eyebrows, like Kalyan Mal, the son of Raja Todarmal, the famed Navratna minister of Akbar, or Kesoda Maru, a Rajput ruler who came primarily to the temple. And these are facts of Indian history which we cannot ignore. The Aurangzeb attacks, although it is captured here, and Aurangzeb did issue a farman to destroy the Jagannath temple, like all other, the Krishna Janmabhoomi or the Kashi, Kshetra. He also issued a farman to destroy this temple, but little bit of trick that happened. The Gajapati Maharaj had got into an arrangement with the Mughal Subedar of the Bengal province at that point of time, or Suba Bangla. Suba was the term in Mughal administration that was used, and he had heavily bribed the Mughal Subedar. I forgot his name actually. So, and then what was done was two things were done. The temple was closed for almost 50 years at that point of time, and the deities, original deities, were moved away from the temple and hidden in some island of Chilka, and a replica deity was shown to Aurangzeb in the Mughal Darbar in Delhi, and it was burnt in front of his eyes. So, and in all these invasions that you see, the Jagannath administration or the pujan, the daily Riti Niti or Rath Yatra or the temple per se, they remained closed from sometimes 144 years, sometimes 50 years, sometimes 20 years, 25 years. All this has happened. So that's a story that I will show you a little more details to explain to you the veracity of the courage, resilience, strength showcased by the people of Orissa, the Gajapati Maharajas, the Khandaites or the elite bodyguards, the pikers, and of course the servitors or the Savaites for that matter. Now, this picture is very, very India, I would say a stark reminder of the difficult times that our forefathers had experienced. Now, what had happened in all those efforts, whenever Shri Jagannath was moved out of Sri Mandir, he was hidden in various islands of Chilka, but Rath Yatra used to continue at that point of time in a very camouflaged manner. And to commemorate those days, even today during Rath Yatra is worshipped in these islands where temples are there. In whichever island he had resided, a temple is still there to commemorate that. And, they do, celebrate the Rath Yatra even today on the Chilka through these boats, motorized boats, and 3.5 kilometers. They take a roundabout on Chilka and come back. So these are actually grand reminders of those most difficult days that our forefathers had, undergone, and it also speaks of the extreme courage, strength, tenacity, resilience, and sacrifices of these people. And imagine carrying those wooden images, 7 feet tall wooden images that heavy, 200, 250 kgs heavy, by bullock carts, by boats, and then putting them in most difficult terrains, carrying them to those difficult terrains, and not only that, maintaining them, for doing their daily riti niti in those difficult terrains in the jungles, surrounded by mountains. What fascinating piece of history, and you can still go today there in many of those places. As you can see, some of the pictures I have put in over here, and I'll tell you the little background over these pictures, is a stark reminder of what kind of days we had seen. And this place is called Pujang, or Smarana Sri Kshetra, or Swarana Sriketra means Swaran, it means where he had taken refuge. The temple was brought up by the Bhoi ruler, I think Mukundadev or Ramchandradev, I don't remember the name properly right now, but it was built in 6 months' time. And there is a beautiful story linked to Kalapahar, for this, where Bisar Mohanty, Vaishnav devotee who was following Kalapahar when he had picked up those idols and was trying to burn them on the Ganges. And, the deities, when they were put on fire, immediately Kalapahar suffered a cardiac arrest. And some say he passed away immediately, some say he collapsed after 2 or 3 days. the deities were thrown into the Ganges, the Ganga river, and Bisir Mohanty followed them downstream, went along, recovered those images, and took out the Brahma Padarth, hid them inside a Mridanga, okay, inside a Mridanga. And when the king of Kurda came to know about it, he brought him with all due respect and love and recovered those deities, created a new deity, placed the Brahma Padarth, made this temple that is there, I'm seeing in Kujang, and Rath Yatra was again celebrated over there. This gufa or the cave that you can see, an underground cave, is in the Sonpur district, and that is known as Patali Sri Kshetra. Patal se Patali. So Patal is underground, so that is why it is known as Patali Sri Kshetra. Sri Kshetra is obviously where Mahaprabhu dwells or resides. And here he was there for 144 years. And Pratibhu Vigraha is even worshipped today. And even today during Rath Yatra, the deities are taken out from this cave and placed on chariots and taken around to commemorate those difficult days, lest we forget. And it is from here that Adi Shankaracharya retrieved those Brahma Padarth and placed it and, recovered the Sri Jagannath temple from the Buddhists. Mahayana Buddhism was at its, Vajrayana Buddhism was at its peak. He defeated them in Tarka Yudh, recovered that site, recovered the Brahma Bastu, created the new images of Sri Jagannath, and that is when the Rath Yatra was happened. This happened, although the timelines of Adi Shankaracharya is disputed, but whatever it has happened, I will go with and is 900, 800 to 900 years old, as per the chronicles of the Sri Jagannath temple known as Madalapaji, which is captured over there. Then this is captured over there. And the other islands, you can see the Fort of Mantri, the Gurubai Island, the Andhar Island, there are a lot of islands, the Banpur. Sometimes it was also hidden behind the Ma Bimla temple in Sri Mandir also, or even in the Saki Gopal temple in Puri district. So these, the legend of Jagannath that resides today is because of all these pieces of fascinating history, adventure, struggle, turnaround, resilience, courage is all because of this. Now, this is one very important stuff, Anantavarman Chorakangadev, when he was establishing Puri in a new way, he built many akharas or military pathshalas, art pathshalas over here, where the areas where the Sevites were settled were known as Shahis, and each of the Shahis would have akhara, and these akharas were places where some selected youths from each Shahi would be trained in warfare, martial arts, wrestling, bodybuilding, and they would act as the elite force protecting the temple. And this is something, which is called Shahi Jat or street drama, folk drama, whatever you want to say. And it also it is also a surviving intangible heritage which survived from the 12th century and in practice even today, and whereby the Akhara people or the youth in the Akharas, they dress up like Parshuram, Sri Ram, or the Devi or Narasimha or Ravana, and then they play the street theaters where they come near the temple from their Akharas in processions, wearing these costumes as you can see, play the street drama, and then take blessings of Jagannath and go back. So this happens in the Chaitra Navratra, and it has been happening since 800, 900 years now. And one of the most revered, I would say, intangible heritage that is still surviving, and a mode of entertainment for these from the earliest times for these Sevites and the people who are training in these gymnasiums and bastions. So basically, you can see the temple being surrounded by so many akharas was self acting as a chamber, as in invisible fortification was also there, apart from the structural fortifications which were there. So, and finally, the last slide of the day, these are some of the hero stones of Orissa. You have heard of the Sati stones and hero stones of Karnataka, and I'm sure these are the hero stones or Veergals that we mentioned. And this is taken from a hero stone site near to Puri, where it was supposed to be a hero stone factory, I think. So even today, these hero stones are lying in this condition in this place without any state preservation or archaeological survey of India's preservation. And they do speak of the glorious past of the Kalingan, Kalingan kings and their generals and their soldiers and the common man. And, these are fascinating piece of artwork, which even is surviving today. But sadly, India has a problem of too many when it comes to the architectural heritage to preserve them. And yes, shortage of funds adds on to the problem. So with this, I will close today's presentation. I think it's almost an hour now. And Jai Jagannath, and thank you again to the BMS School of Architecture and the CRT. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions?
So thank you very much for a beautiful session on Lord Jagannath and its heritage. It was really enlightening. My humble request, I know you said in the beginning itself, there is a lot to talk about it. You tried to provide a glimpse of it. So in
Yes,
that
it is
glimpse,
just, I would say it is only 15% that I have shown to you. Only 15%.
agreed, sir. My humble request is to add Jaydeva and Gita Govinda into this glimpse to give that beautiful divine love story of Radha Krishna.
Yes, of course. Let me, since you have picked up Jaidev Goswami's Gita Govinda, Jamunara Tire Dhire Samipe Basati Bane Banamali. The beautiful sloka. I just came back last week from Vrindavan for my research work, and I was in the area of Dhir Samit, which is mentioned in Jaidev Goswami's Gita Govinda. And I was shooting uh, with the Isha Foundation on the legacies and myths and legends of Sri Jagannath. So that will come out very soon. Do have a look on it. And I have discussed many things around the literary part of Sri Jagannath in that discussion. But yes, as you rightly pointed out, Git Govinda is even today sung as per the instruction of Gajapati Kapilendra Dev Rautre from 15th century, before Sri Jagannath is put to sleep. And earlier, the Maharis or the Nachunis, which the Britishers have, unfortunately put them as Devadasis, but they were the Mahari dancers or the Nachunis or the Gotipo dancers who used to dance in front of Sri Jagannath as Gita Govinda used to be recited and before he was put to sleep. And the Gita Govinda's various portions of Gita Govinda also finds mention, or not mention, I would say representation in the Patachitras of Orissas and also in the literary world of Oriya and Indian architecture and literary evidences. But at the same time, I would also say that there is the concept of Navagunjar, which I have not touched upon, and there are certain other facts which are related to the art and literary piece of it, which is directly proportional to the temple architecture, iconography, and the riti nitis of the temple, and even the festivals for that matter, which I have not been able to touch upon. So probably if the management of CRDA and BMS School of Architecture allows me to run a session, series, then I can cover that in there. But those are, let me tell you, very, very interesting, and some bit of it, when I start narrating them, I'm sure you will have tears in your eyes.
Thank you, sir.
So we also
Amazing.
have, okay. Yes, ma'am, you can continue.
Amazing. Yes, I have Orissa is very close to my heart, though I hail from Tamil Nadu, and it is a Patachitra that adorns the altar at my home temple. Visited Orissa almost 15 to 16 times, and I translate temples into classrooms. So, what I will say is my takeaway from this, albeit very small session that keeps us yearning for more, much, much more, is the plethora of topics that you've covered. At least you have kind of instigated us to research each area very deeply and ask for more questions. And I think we will demand for a series now from Shobha, from the CRDS, so that we can kind of get an insight, because it's huge, it's massive, the topic itself, from the
Yes,
literature aspect, from the art aspect, from the architecture aspect, and
yes.
above from the devotional aspect. So, yes,
Right.
thank you so
And
much.
just let me tell you that, interestingly, Sri Jagannath culture is the only culture surviving in India today, which binds together the geography and topography of Jammu Deep as defined in the Vishnu Puran together. So when I know my foray into the other research areas came later, but it was primarily instigated by the Sri Jagannath culture, because when I started working on it, I realized that if I don't understand the Vraj Mandal, if I don't understand the Bhakti movement, if I don't understand the history and devotion of Bengal, I will never be able to understand what is there. And even Sri Jagannath culture is something which links us to the Marathas, even to Ahilyabai Holkar, the great legendary Ahilyabai Holkar, or even to the Kachawa Rajputs, particularly Mansingh. And there's so much of fascinating stories out of it. Is something, I have not even started talking on the the I would say the stories or the events that transpired between Sri Jagannath and his devotees. Some of these stories, they are so fascinating. Many of them are related to the Rath Yatra, and many of them are related to the bhajans of Sri Jagannath that has been sung today. And I have not even started telling you about Ramanujacharya and Guru Nanak, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of course, the exploits of Adi Guru Shankaracharya, what he exactly did. And each of them are so thick in its own composition, and filled with so much of history, art, literature, is one hell of a stuff. And even today, some of the traditions and events that happen today during Rath Yatra is a reminder of what the glorious era that was there in Bhakti movement, and what exactly our great religious leaders did. There is the event when Guru Nanak, because apart from the Hindus, only the Sikhs are allowed to get in. The Guru Nanak, when he sits on the sea beach pointing his feet towards the Sri Jagannath temple, some Sevite comes and says, hey, why you are putting your feet towards the temple or Mahaprabhu? He says, tell me one direction where Mahaprabhu is not there. And this is something, yes, I missed out now, I remember. I was talking about Rig Veda. So many people who doesn't know today, even many researchers who do not know today, actually Rig Veda Purusa Sukta is nothing but a stuti of Sri Jagannath. Because in Rig Veda, in Purusa Sukta, we talk of Sri Purushottam. And who is Sri Purushottam? Purushottam is Jagannath. The name Jagannath has come much later, and this has been proven through multiple epigraphic and numismatic evidences and archaeological evidences. It comes in 14th century, but prior to that, it was Purushottam Kshetra, Nilachal Kshetra, and the worship of Madhav or Nilamadhav, and that is what even Sri Krishna and Arjuna also visited the Madhav Kshetra or Nilachal Kshetra. And that is also defined in the Adi Parva, on Mahabharat, which I will cover probably in the next episodes if I get anything. And secondly, what does Purusa Sukta say? Now, let me give you, and please hear to this very carefully. And I keep talking about this aspect to everyone, because every Hindu and everyone who is related to the history and heritage of India must understand. Purusa Sukta speaks of Sriman Purushottam who speaks, who has 1,000 eyes, ears, hands, legs. If I go back to Bhagavad Gita, there is a slok, Sarvata Pani Padam Tat Sarvatho Shishiro Mukham Sarvate Shruti Man Loke Sarvamabrite Tishtati. Means my hands, legs, eyes, ears are everywhere. Kan kan me Shiv, kan kan me Narayan, as Prahalada rightly said. And this is the same stuff which which Swami Vivekananda had I would say revisited when he defined the concept of Advaita Vedanta, which really shook the whole world. And there also he says that I am the universe, everywhere am I. I am he, I am he, I am he. So who is Sri Purushottam then? It is there in Bhagavad Gita. This is the same Purushottam or Vasudev, which Aurobindo, Rishi Aurobindo, sees in his Alipur prison and speaks about Vasudev in his Uttarpara speech.
True. So we did tap the bhakti, and I was also hoping to hear your personal experience with Jagannath, and I think we will take one more episode for that too.
I can tell you many experiences that I had. I can tell you one which I have spoken about for the first time in front of camera with the Isha Foundation, and I will tell you this story. I started my journey with Sri Jagannath in 2008, okay? And as a Bengali, every Bengali goes to Puri. That is their staple diet kind of stuff. But my real journey with Sri Jagannath started in 2008. So in 2009, December, I had gone with my family. My son was hardly 5 years old then, and had a beautiful darshan of Sri Jagannath. And I went very well prepared, and I had many things seen over there. And when I came back, I told my wife that I would like to go again next year, same time, because that is the time when the IT companies have a shutdown in December. So my wife, being the wife and practical, she's very practical and I'm very emotional. So she said that that was the time when IT industry was facing recession, and we had taken almost, I think, 7 to 10% salary cut. It was not the easiest of days with a growing child. And I agreed to her. I said, yes, I do understand. So I kept my mouth shut, but the heart was not listening, you see. So that very day morning, early morning, around 4:30, 3:30, 4 o'clock, my eyes opened, and I experienced excruciating pain in my heart here, excruciating pain, and tears started falling, and the room obviously was dark, and in that darkness I was crying silently, thinking of the fact that I will not be able to go and visit him. And I'm feeling emotional right now. Anyways, so again, and probably I don't know when I can go again, but my heart was crying, and it was screeching out. So somehow I managed, and I kept quiet. Then after 2 days, something very strange happened, you see. Since I was working with one of the IT majors at that point of time, and we had been told that there will be no increments this year. So salary cut and then no increments for 2 years in a row. So our manager called us, and they told us, well, there is some good news for all of you, where our management has decided to give increments, and only 4 countries will get those increments, which are the BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, because these are emerging markets where the company would like to invest. We were all happy. Even I was happy. Okay, some relief. But and then he told that I will discuss with each one of you one-on-one with what kind of increments he will give. So I said, fine. So when my turn came, I went in. Would you imagine what kind of percentage I got it? He gave me 27% increment, which took care of my next 3 years travel to Jagannath Puri.
I quite
So
understand.
that's Jagannath. That's the power of Jagannath. That's the power. And even today, this year also, I went to Rath Yatra. You don't have to just leave everything on him and go there. He takes care of everything. His eyes, this chauka akhi, the big black eyes that they say is fascinating. In 2023, I took a group of aged female professors from Delhi University, because at times, if I get a good crowd, educated crowd who are truly interested and soaked in bhakti, I do take for heritage walks to Orissa, to Braj, and some other places. So I took them, before I took them inside the Jagat Jagmohan from where darshan happens today, I told them to focus on the eyes only, the big black eyes. And when I came out, so one of them told that my legs were heavy, and she was an atheist, a businessman. She was an atheist. And of course, she was teaching as a visiting faculty. She said that I have never experienced something like this. In so many temples I've gone. I normally don't go to temples, but wherever I go, I never experience this. My legs become heavy, and I was unable to move. Two of them were crying incessantly, unstoppable. And the other two were like, can we again have a darshan? Can we again go in? I said, next day morning, not today night. So that's the energy which is there. That's the energy. He's truly Parabrahma. He's truly Parabrahma. When I discuss about the legendary Ratna Bhandar, which I will dedicate one full episode on the legendary Ratna Bhandar, I have done one podcast on the Ratna Bhandar, which was highly appreciated even by the authorities of Shri Jagannath Temple. It is there on YouTube with Ravya Sarda. You can have a look. Anybody who's interested can have a look on that, and you will come to know many more things about the Ratna Bhandar. But I will take a session with all of you, because there are many things which cannot be covered in one podcast. So I will give you some more flavor to the Ratna Bhandar.
Thank you.
So we do have a question in the chat. Can I read it?
Yeah, please let me have a look also.
Yeah. How do the rituals
Okay.
at Jagannath Dham accommodate and reconcile the overlapping influences of Bhakti, Vaishnavism, Shakta traditions, tribal totemic worship, and Buddhist symbolism within a single sacred framework?
Okay. So let me tell you the first part of it, the Buddhist part. So there is the Riti Nitis do not cover the Buddhist anything. It's completely Hindu temple, and the Buddhism aspect that I mentioned comes with the acceptance by the Buddhist as Brahmapadat being a tooth relic of Buddha. It is only limited to that fact. There is no Buddhist Riti Nitis happening in the temple. On the Shakta traditions, tribal traditions are primarily seen during the Rath Yatra, 1 month of Rath Yatra, and the Vaishnav, Shakta, and Shakti are followed during the daily Riti Nitis. For example, most of the Riti Nitis which happen towards evening time or late in the night are tantric in nature. Okay. The Navratras, they see a lot of tantric exposure. And the other Vaishnav and Shakta traditions are there in the daily, traditions. I will show you some bit of it in the next episode. And let me tell you one thing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not touch any of the Riti Nitis. He was very particular during the Bhakti movement. He propagated Bhakti. He propagated Sankirtan. He looked at taking more and more people from all stratas of the society into the fold of Bhakti. But it was Adi Guru Shankaracharya, Sankara, that I fondly call him Sankara. Sankara was the person who defined the Riti Nitis of Jagannath Temple, which is even followed today. And some bit of it was laid down by Ramanujacharya. That is why you will see a Ramanuj Tilak on the Kalash. I will show you a more clearer picture in the next episode. And that is how the convergence of, various tattvas happen in the daily Riti Nitis.
Okay.
Any other question? Yeah, it was Kasturi. I did not want to name it, but yes, it is Kasturi. You're right. The one which comes from the navel of the deer. So the daily dosage of Kasturi comes from the Nepal royal family. And even today, let me tell you, there is a linkage with the Kalingan maritime trade to the temple, with the Konark Sun Temple, and with the festivals that are happening, which I will cover maybe in one of the next episodes. And there are linkages to Dwarka also. Sri Krishna's Dwarka. And when I show them, you will all be amazed.
Anybody else?
Actually, a lot of
Um,
tangible and intangible
Yes,
insights, and definitely we have
yes.
to come up with one more episode, one or two more episodes. Maybe, I mean, immediately if we can just have the episode in the next session itself, we can plan it up, sir. I mean. Yeah, I was not aware of the influence of Marathas in Jagannath Puri.
Oh yes, oh yes. Marathas were instrumental in putting, I would say, their biggest contribution to the Jagannath culture were twofold. One is on the structural part, where they recovered many deities and iconography and placed them in the current temple. And the second part was the reforms that they brought in management of devotees by building roads, bridges, dharamshalas, providing them security, providing them the basic amenities. And if you look and if you read the British accounts, it was almost mandatory to have an epidemic of cholera after every Rath Yatra. We will touch upon those facts. There are lots of history, and each one of them is so fascinating that, even I find it difficult when I start talking.
Very true.
Roy
Thank you
sir,
so much. Yeah.
हाँ सौरभ
eh,
जी बोलिए.
Roy sir, I think like this was one of the most exhilarating Zoom session I have had in a very long time that I can't remember any time. At least three
जय
times I got
जगन्नाथ.
goosebumps. Jai Jagannath sir. Definitely, there were so many things that I didn't have even the slightest idea. But the way you touch Geet Govind also is truly. Yesterday itself, some days before Jayashri ma'am and me, we were discussing the same thing. And we do a lot of, as such, I'll just introduce myself, sir. I am the CEO founder of Royal Trip Maker. This is a 12-year-old company that I started after leaving my job at TCS. And we do a lot of holy tours that is very close to our heart. We have started just now. We are launching another website, especially for the Pitrikam, because we believe that the extra energy that is going on with a lot of families, which is in turn having a lot of bad effect to the society and the country and the world itself.
See, this is
So
what our tirthas are reduced to locations of religious tourism. That was never the intent. That is one
correct,
thing. And secondly, you must always remember to have darshan or darshana, you can have darshana without jnana is something. But to have darshana with complete jnana is moksha.
very true, sir. And the art of storytelling, Nazar, that is the only thing that I think can revive this particular motto, what we are all working on in different ways. Jayashri ma'am works very closely with me. We have done a lot of Amarnath tours and a lot of holy tours with her. And like even last month itself, when we went to Trichy, the insights were the actual darshana that we had. Now, whenever I can close my eyes, I can understand what the Ekapada Rudra means and how it translates into an understanding or manifestation in the whole world itself.
There's
So,
a Ekapada Bhairav also in the temple iconography of Sri Jagannath. Ekapada Bhairav.
right. And sir, so many things. I've been a few times. Even there was one time when I went to Puri for a few hours and I could not get even a glimpse of him. And still I
Oh,
like
nee, वो बहुत
actually
नटखट
start.
है. Kanha is very nutcut. Many a
Yeah.
times he has done that with me also. I will
And
go
you
around
feel
in
like
circles and I will cannot enter. Then I get fiery and I tell him कि दर्शन दे रहे हो कि नहीं मैं जा रहा हूँ. Then he will open his door.
wonderful, sir. It would be, sir, actually what I would want you to please guide us, help us, whatever, however. Is like there was a screenshot that also I took during the Zoom session that was going on with your presentation. So at that time, the places that we should cover or must cover for especially for a person who's trying to explore and who's trying to understand the meanings and as well as the architecture, so that when we conduct tours for budding architects or people from different backgrounds who are interested in Indology as well as the rich history and culture that we have, that would be really something. Because day-wise itinerary also, when we design as a travel person, we we limit ourselves into a lot of things, though we try to extrapolate.
Saurabhji, sorry for the interruption, but what I would
Yes,
suggest, you can, Abhirami has my number. Please feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned that, I'm a UNESCO and INTAX certified heritage walker also, and I do my own heritage walks on behalf of the organizations that I do. I primarily do it in Braj, and Kurukshetra and Jagannath Puri in Odisha, or even in Bengal. So if you are interested and if you want to do something in Odisha, please feel free to reach out to me or to any of these places. There is a Shakti Kumbh which is happening in 2026, organized by the Shakti Kumbh, and that where I am, knowledge provider or a knowledge partner there, along with my team in Odisha. And this that is happening between 14th to 21st of February 2026, and it will primarily tap into the Shakti components of Orissa, Kalinga, where we will go into the Jagannath temples. We will focus on the Bimla Mata temple, where we will discuss focus on the Chauset Yogini architecture and the temples of the Ekamra Kshetra. I have not even touched upon Ekamra Kshetra, which is Bhubaneswar, and that is another fascinating piece, and which
surely.
has if you can go along with me in Odisha, I will show you how the temple architecture has evolved over a period of 500 to 600 years in Odisha. Bhubaneswar city is a living example of it. And people who don't know, there is another temple in Odisha, in Bhubaneswar, the Ananta Vasudev temple, which serves you excellent Mahaprasad, as good as Shri Jagannath, and you'll bite your fingers off if you have those Mahaprasad. Whenever I go, I always make it a point to have it inside the temple. So the best feeling, the surreal, the connection with the cosmic or the supreme consciousness that you connect to is when you have that Mahaprasad either on a banana leaf or on the broken pot, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had classified. You have that from that broken pot. Give up, surrender all your ego, surrender everything and have it from that pot. कितना शक्ति लगता है ऐसे खाना प्रसाद पाने में, आप सोचिए.
It was very appropriate kind of end with your invitation for the Shakti Path, because Shobha and I curated a program from Dharwad to Saudati. It was a walk by the same CRDS in this one. So it is very, very appropriate that you had to invite us at such a prompt time. We will definitely plan and be there. Shobha, so Shakti to you, Shakti to us, all the way. Over to you, Shobha.
I will pass on the contact person name who will help you to get all the logistics in place. Shri Nilima Bhatt, Srimati Nilima Bhatt, and I will give her number to Abhirami, and you people can get in touch with her, and she will give you all the details. I'm just a knowledge partner over there. The rest they are organizing.
Yes, thank you.
Any further questions? Saurabhji, please feel free to reach out.
An Alpagya like me, talking too much on a Zoom session is not the right thing. So, so what I will do is I'll definitely want some of your time, and please enlighten us. Thank you, Shobha ma'am. Thanks a lot. Wonderful, wonderful connect, and amazing. It's just an honor to have been a part of this, and more power to all of us, sir. More power to all of us, definitely. With the kind of prasad thing, I always say that Jagannath ji ka prasad is actually God himself, what we believe.
It is the only thing, let me tell you, it is the only prasad, Mahaprasad, which you can have during Ekadashi also.
Yes. They don't
because
observe
Ekadashi, because of her pride and arrogance, did something, and Jagannath Mahaprabhu tied her hands and put her behind the back of the temple. So it is the only, in Ekadashi, you have Jagannath Mahaprasad and nothing, you will not deviate from the set norms of Ekadashi.
If you are in Puri, you are almost not allowed to have Ekadashi for us. Because Annam, you will have to.
Yeah.
Have the
Beautiful,
khichdi
sir.
bhog, have the khichdi bhog in Jagannath Puri. That is the best.
Guided by none other.
Muted, ma'am. I got muted.
You are muted,
Jayashree,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Sir, if
Other than
sir,
Surya
if
Sai.
No, if you go along with me, you won't feel like coming back. Your family members will give supari in my name. I can tell you that.
It happened in Balasore for me, sir, once. Tirachora.
Chitchora Gopinath.
Yes.
But Balasore has a very antique, I think, Kushan era, as per archaeological dating, Shiva temple underground. It's fascinating under the ground.
In
Patali.
Balasore, I've never been.
Yeah. And Balasore is also the place of the great legendary revolutionary Bagha Jatin, where he laid down his life fighting the British police. The river of Buribalam or Buribala. His epitaph is also there. I plan to go someday there.
sir,
We've
if sorry to
done.
interrupt, I think this topic will be going on and on if we start. I think so. Let us conclude with this. Maybe a next session will help us out.
100%.
I now invite Architect Medha to just give us the vote of thanks.
Uh, Thank you for all joining us in this inspiring journey into the world of the Jagannath culture. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Surya sir for sharing the rich history, culture, and legacy of Shri Jagannatha. Your work in preserving, promoting the Indian heritage is truly inspiring and continues to guide students, researchers, and heritage lovers across the country. A heartfelt thanks to architect Shobha ma'am and Dr. Shaila Bantnoor ma'am for their visionary leadership, and to architect Abhirami ma'am for holding the fort behind the scenes. May today's insight inspire us all to preserve, protect, and promote our heritage with a renewed purpose. When we speak about heritage, it's not just the structures or the monuments, but it's all about the living traditions, cultures, and legacy that our great ancestors have left behind for us. So we are all excited to announce that we are gearing up for the next webinar series as well, and mostly it will be with Surya sir. And we would love you to join there as well. So together, let's keep the heritage alive. Jai Jagannath.